from Manchester, New Hampshire, and we will have a live report from Michigan, where the important race tonight is on the Democrat side. The Republican races are largely decided, including the important one for the Senate. But the Senate race there is another test of just how far along we are in the effort of Islamic extremists taking over our country and imposing Sharia law on us, which if they had a majority, they would do, as they demonstrate in the places in which, in Michigan and elsewhere, Texas, they argue for Sharia law in place of Anglo-American law, which has only governed us from the day we started. And they want to impose on us, as the Democrat Socialists of America want to do, a complete revision of our form of government, akin to what was attempted during the Civil War. They want to destroy our government. Make no mistake about it. And they don't. And if you don't get it, you really are dense, because they're pushing it in your face, like they write about it like this. Now, it is true. We have a large number of people who can't read, and we have a large number of people who don't understand what they read. And that's what they're counting on. Now, there's one of the evil ones right there. That's Al-Faisal Faled.
Abdul El-Sayed.
I'm sorry. I didn't mean to do that. I got confused about the name. Abdul Fayed?
El-Sayed.
Abdul. Hello, Abdul.
Abdul El
Good to see you, Abdul.
Sayed.
Good to see you. I'm glad you have so many friends that were extremely enthusiastic about the attack on my city on September 11, like Hassan Piker. I really wish I had a chance to meet the both of you. And there was nobody around, and we could just be in a room, just the two of us. I'd like to see at my advanced age if I could beat the shit out of both of you. Where did you come from? Where did you come from? You want government? You want government grocery stores, like the great experiment in Russia? Do you, smiling jackass, understand that Russia ended because the government-owned grocery stores had no food? Yeah. Do you see the results of socialism and communism in Cuba or in Venezuela? Or how about Islamic extremism on the streets of Tehran, where people are selling their organs to get money? Is that why you have a smile on your face? And is there a particular way we could wipe it off? We're going to get to it later, but we're going to find out if he's going to win or lose tonight. We probably won't find out by the end of the show, which would have us about 3 hours or 2 hours before the polls close. I suspect they're not going to have to bring in a big dump truck into the middle of the main arena where they're counting votes at 2 a.m. To get you elected, or throw the people out at 11 o'clock at night like they did in 2020. Nor are we going to end up with about 120 witnesses who can testify to out-and-out fraud or a complete switch around of votes in one of your suburban counties. I don't think we're going to have that. I don't think the people who are entrusted with counting votes in Detroit are going to refuse to certify, only to be intimidated. Refuse to certify the vote because they could not, after 3 counts, do an accounting that matched the number of votes with the number of voters. Nor have they ever gotten a particular count on the number of dead people who voted. We do know now, with the investigation being done by the United States government, that one of the problems in America, big one, could be systemic, is the number of dead people that are all over the registration books in the United States. And the Democrats insist they should be kept there, and it's a denial of civil rights to take dead people off the voter registrations. I would like you to analyze how it's a demonstration of civil rights. Whose civil rights? Dead people have rights in heaven or hell. They don't have rights on earth. Your rights die with you. Some rights succeed to your family, not the right to vote. So once you're dead, we can take your name off. That hasn't been in New York since I was mayor before. Every time we attempt to purge the voting rolls, the Democrats go to court and say it's a violation of civil rights, and crooked Democratic judges say yes. Yeah, you have any idea how many dead people are on the ballots? It's the sympathy that Democrats have for the voter that they don't want to take the name off. I'm coming up with all of the ridiculous excuses because liberal liars tell you we don't cheat in America. Well, this is like what Russia and China do to communists. They just perpetuate these complete lies, and the dumb and stupid among the electorate don't know, and the other ones go along with it. Let me just point out one thing I pointed out at the end of the last show. So everybody sees these fires, right? And one of the things they say, although it isn't working as well, oh, global warming, that's why we have fires over in Europe. Global warming, and that's why we have fires over in California. Global warming. They don't account for the fact that in California we don't put water in fire hydrants, so that even if there is global warming, when the fire gets to your house, you can't fight it because all you got are your hands in dirt. Because we have a governor who really is working for Xi Jinping. That's the guy with all the hair, and the one who tries to act like he's a movie star and tries to look like George Hamilton or who else? Alec Baldwin Alec Baldwin actually is rougher than him.
A movie star.
He tries to look like some kind of a movie star. He isn't a movie star. I mean, he's a terrible governor. Or you have the mayor who was off in Uganda or wherever the hell she was, or Ipsy Bipsy, while her people were dying. So in Europe, it isn't global warming. It's the exact opposite. It's the effect of dealing with this false exaggeration of global warming where they don't prune the forest for 30 years. And when a match goes off, the whole fire goes off and you can't fight it. That's what's going on. Now, if you think it's global warming, I would like you to just deal with this scientific weather report. Science, last month, the one in which Europe is burning and Earth produced its coldest temperature in 14 years.
Right.
The Antarctica's Concordia Research Station recorded the frigid temperature of 119.4 degrees Fahrenheit on July 18. This is while it's burning up in Canada, because criminally, they treat their forests criminally. And man, if they want to hurt their own people, shame on them. If they want to hurt us, pay us, goddammit. 119.4 degrees Fahrenheit. And we have global warming? What kind of global warming is it? It globally warms in one place, but not in the other. It sets records for freezing. Maybe there is no pattern. And how about maybe us poor little human beings this big in a universe we don't understand unless we think we're Adam and Eve, right? Or Lucifer. What kind of impact do you really think we have?
Oh, now you're really getting at the point now, Mayor. Right.
And I'm telling you, the tragedy of it is, for 1/10 of the money that we wasted and it went into the pockets of fat, slobby Gore and people like him, if we took 1/10 of that money and put it into adaptation, very sophisticated adaptation, like air conditioning, 98% of America is air conditioned. Do you know the Western European country with the most air conditioning? Yes, Western, not Eastern, Western. Guess, boys. And what is it?
Definitely not France.
Just guess it. Tell me a percentage. What do you think the biggest percentage is in Europe?
Oh, the big.
It's 98%.
Oh, the biggest air con-
Just a big. I'll tell
30,
you.
30,
What?
30.
Okay. What do you say?
I'm saying high 20s, to
Okay.
30.
Biggest percentage is 48%.
Oh,
Okay.
wow.
It's Italy.
Italy.
It's almost half. Huh?
Yeah. You know what England is? 10.
Oh my God.
You know what France is? 18. You know what Spain is? 14. Air conditioning. So what do you think happens? The poor old people are in the 110 degree place with the smoke coming in, and they die in large numbers. Even though less people die from heat than cold, they were able to switch it around with their corruption over climate change.
But they try to extrapolate the globalists that it's the higher temperatures that's triggering the fire spontaneously.
Yeah.
It drives me crazy.
Assume that's correct.
Right.
Then the next thing you do is you figure out, what are we going to do about it? Well, to try to change that means trying to change the universe that you didn't create. You can give it a shot.
Right.
That's going to cost a lot of money. Maybe the thing to do, which other scientists have been recommending for 30 years and they avoid because you can't steal as much, is you just adapt. If you're going to have climate change and things are going to get warmer, you're going to have more floods. That means you have to have more dams. You're going to have to invent air conditioning the way the Middle East does. Dubai didn't exist 40 years ago because they didn't have air conditioning.
Right.
Dubai is one of the richest cities in the world now because they have air conditioning.
Right.
So there's a much easier way to keep people alive. You're just not going to be able to steal a lot of money that way.
It's the science, don't you know?
Yeah. So global warming cannot be the consistent problem if last month was the coldest month on Earth in 40 years.
And someone should ask the simple question: what temperature would it require in order to cause some spontaneous combustion of leaves and debris on the ground?
Yeah, and no one in Europe covered what I just told you. So the people of Europe are completely deprived of that fact. Well, there was a meeting in the White House today with Anthropic, Google, and OpenAI in order to discuss reasonable ways to have government checking out these new systems so that they don't imperil national security and at the same time are done fast enough and without the usual bureaucratic intervention that it's going to slow down the development of AI for America. We got a big problem here. It's a difficult one. There's no easy answer to it. You can say, stop AI because it's so dangerous. Yep. And then we'll be speaking Chinese in 20 years. You could say, just go ahead with AI and just let it go. And maybe they'll be taking our brainwaves in 5 years. So you need a balance here. And the Pope wrote an excellent encyclical on this, and in which he gave us sort of some moral guideposts for it, which could easily be simplified, although better read it because it should challenge your intellect. Humanity has to control AI. AI can't control humanity. Okay? So that means these meetings that the president has put together, and he's the only one that's really leading on this, are very, very important. So the meeting today at the White House, although it got very little attention, headed by the Office of the National Cyber Director, who will now come under Jay Clayton, who was sworn in today, are very, very valuable. And we were very fortunate to get someone like Jay Clayton to do this. Southern District's loss is the gain of the administration, although the choice made there, which we'll talk about, was also very, very good. And I don't say that easily because I was a pretty good one. The race in Maine, we've lost a little contact with, right? After the pervert got out, and now we have the lackluster,
The woman.
very right-wing Republican who has turned into a very left-wing Democrat in one day, who apparently has already been described by the Democrats as a very disappointing candidate. So it looks like Susan Collins, who for all her issues among the MAGA people, knows how to win.
Right.
And it looks like the candidate they selected, they're all disappointed in because he hasn't abused women as far as I know, but he's boring as hell. And I guess the weirdos in Maine would have preferred to have an abuser than a boring guy.
They could sell them.
Yeah. What sick politics we have, huh?
Yeah, humans are getting sick, I think.
The U.S. manufacturing is up. That won't be reported because that shows how good our economy is. We have a very bad economy. We have full employment. Oh, that's good. Don't report it. U.S. manufacturing is at a 7-year high. Don't report it.
The Dow and the NASDAQ is up.
The Dow and the NASDAQ went up today, even though they should have gone down because there's a question about whether the war will resume. Shut up. You want to keep your job?
Yeah.
Shut up, jackass, back in that room there. No, you're not getting out of that room.
Yeah. Well,
It's just been confirmed. What? It's just been confirmed on unassailable sources that Trump has come up with the cure to cancer. Cover it up. Get Fauci out. I know he's a liar, but there's some people still believe him.
Say it causes cancer.
Yeah, let him go out and say it causes cancer like he did with hydroxychloroquine.
Yeah.
You know, that little rat had written an article 4 years before saying that hydroxychloroquine was a miracle drug that worked on almost every single virus. Then when Trump, based on Dr. Zelenko and 5 other great doctors who had data, unassailable data to show that it held back the early stages of COVID, went ahead and he said that it was not only didn't it help, it was a dangerous drug. And nobody in the press, except a few of us right-wingers, pointed out that he had contradicted himself 5 years earlier. What's wrong with this guy? It took me 2 weeks to figure out what this little rat was all about. When he did that, I knew he was a complete lying scoundrel. And then when I found out he got royalties for the drugs, I said he's a complete lying scoundrel crook without character. And every time I saw him, I thought about the rats that I had to deal with in the subways and get rid of them and wipe them out, and that Mayor Adams was now having to deal with. And boy, was I right? But better than me was Dr. Maria, who really put me onto him right away. When she first told me about what was going on there, she began with confidence in the CDC. Here's the one thing in which I predicted her. I said, don't trust the CDC. They screwed me up when I was mayor. I don't trust them. I think they're politicians, not scientists. She said, gee, I don't know, Mayor. I've dealt with them at my hospital. Within 3 weeks, she came back to me and she said, they're awful. They're just complete lying. They're lying. There's a thing going on in China and they're lying about it. And then we'll go into it sometime. It got worse and worse and worse and worse. But he's getting his comeuppance now, boy.
That's because we were going into full-blown war at that time.
But he's getting his comeuppance now. I mean, read Kennedy's book. He should be tried for fraud, for theft, for major theft. And then there are a couple of other things that I'm not going to suggest yet until I have a little more time to read the diary and the record. But it's getting closer. We're not just talking about perjury here.
well, we have Stephen, Mayor. Do we want to go get a quick update from Stephen, or
We do. I mean, we're going to have to get like a prediction more than anything else, I guess, right?
Yeah.
Stephen, are you there?
Yes, good to be with you here from Michigan on our primary election day.
So tell us, there are a lot of elections, but everybody is singly focused on Syed and Stevens, right?
Well, that is the biggest race in the country going on right now. And I have to say, I can tell just based on the energy and everything going on the ground and the events, it feels like a presidential race with the level of
I think
advertising.
you'll tell us something about it, even the presidential race, but go ahead.
Well, and we're going to actually learn a lot no matter what in these primaries, because kind of the trend is a progressive outsider versus the more establishment Democrat. And that's what we have in a number of seats. And we have a few seats we're defending, a few seats we might have the opportunity to pick up. but that is kind of the general trend, and that is going to be interesting to see how it plays out. Like in Michigan 7th, where we have probably one of our most competitive House races, we have William Lawrence as the progressive. Tom Barrett is defending that seat, and he is a strong candidate, and I can't like understate that.
I know. I mean, Tom is one of the top congressmen.
Oh yeah, he's good. And so he's defending that seat, and there's a lot of money and a lot of energy behind that, and we've been seeing him all over the place. But William Lawrence, if you drive through that area, it's a lot of William Lawrence signs. I've talked to the students at MSU, and a lot of them, even in the summertime, there are still like some students at MSU, and they're like excited about William Lawrence and just the level of volunteer energy. And X isn't, real life, but certainly the energy on X is leaning towards those progressives and those Bernie type people. And the biggest thing from talking to the Democrat primary voters that I've seen is that they kind of just want to give a middle finger to business as usual. And they see, like, with Whitmer coming in and endorsing Stevens, Governor Whitmer, our, relatively popular governor, especially among Democrats, came in and endorsed Stevens. I don't think that's going to be enough to get her over the finish line, to be honest with you. I mean, unless there's some, I know I'll never put it past like people to cheat, but like here, it's how do you organize the cheating when it's kind of on your own side? Or
But Whitmer has been very successful electorally. She's been a terrible governor, but she's been very successful as a politician.
Yeah. And so especially among Democrats, she's seen as that like safe, moderate voice. And, to her credit, she did work with Trump on certain things. However, she was one of the most draconian governors in the entire country during the COVID era. She was one of like
the 4 or 5 really bad ones, like the witches.
And guess what? Now my parents are Florida residents now. I grew up in Michigan, right? But like people just couldn't take it. But so like back to the primary though. It's exciting, right? It feels exciting. We don't really have too many contests on the Republican side. John James is expected to like easily skate by.
Good.
Not skate by, rather. He's going to quite handily dominate, and we're just not quite sure of the margin. Perry Johnson was his competitor, and he had a small contingent of support, very vocal. He had a lot of money behind it too, and a great campaign bus, to give him credit. If I have to compliment Perry Johnson, I will say the campaign bus. Everyone should have a campaign bus. I think that should be a rule. And if you don't have one, you should get a friend with one, because campaigning in those campaign buses is like,
You've probably ridden in too many.
Well, and I got the van now too, the production van.
Got your own, right?
Yeah, so I will be, I'll be running around Michigan talking to more people, and we'll be watching the coverage closely. But yeah, we got a number of races. It's specifically where you're having progressive versus institution, and we'll see if that energy can overcome it, and in how many cases. Is it in all the cases? We'll have to see.
Are you basically, I don't want to put words in your mouth, but not 90% sure that Syed wins?
90, yeah. I think that 90 is good, at least.
And Rogers wins for sure.
But then here's the thing. I've been that sure about things before. And in Michigan, anything can happen. And as you know, our gubernatorial candidate on the Dem side is Jocelyn Benson, our current sitting Secretary of State. So ballot access is all on her. And
of all the people you mentioned, she's the one I have a history with. She's the one who cheated in the 2020 election.
Yeah,
she destroyed the ballots as a felony.
Oh, among a new number of other election-related crimes.
Trump on her own?
She tried to.
Oh, she tried to?
I don't think she could.
And you know what? And actually, that gives me hope. Like, I'm rooting for Quist. She has a primary opponent in the governor's race, but I think she's going to get by fairly easily, right? She's on every piece of mail, and she's been using that office to campaign, basically. So it's
she probably has something on everybody. She probably has something on everybody in the Democratic Party.
Well, she can bounce you off the ballot if she doesn't.
Yeah.
So, and she also, oh my gosh, she is so corrupt. We'll have to talk about her on another day.
So the governor's race is going to likely be her
versus John James. And John James, successful,
campaign from his first race.
Pardon?
I spoke at his graduation at West Point.
West Point, exactly.
And I have a picture
Exactly.
with his family.
Good man. Good man. But that leaves his seat open too. We're defending that one. And we have Michael Bouchard, who's expected to win that Republican primary after
I know Michael Bouchard also.
You know his
you
dad.
know his
I know his
father.
dad.
You know the
You
sheriff.
know his father,
The
you know
sheriff,
Sheriff
yeah.
Bouchard. But
Yeah.
but he got the Trump endorsement and he's been campaigning very hard. I see signs for some of his competitors, and like I said, yard signs don't vote, but like everywhere his competitor sign is, there's one for him, and Bouchard's got the name.
I
I
have a
think
couple- I have a
easy.
couple of names I put down here of what they're saying are close races. Representative Donovan McKinney is challenging Representative Sri Thanedar,
Shri Thanedar, everybody's favorite.
who's one of the more liberal members of the House.
Oh, you know Shri. We'll
But
show
he's
you.
getting so Mayor, he's getting challenged from the left. And you know what? In this case, I am rooting for that guy, whoever it is, almost just because Sri Thanedar has been one of the worst congressmen that we've ever experienced in Michigan. And he has a lot of baggage. And
How
the people deserve better. The people of Detroit deserve better. And we as a state and a country deserve better. So I can't imagine
the
that
guy
any
running
of this
against him
challenge.
is to his left?
Apparently that's kind of the idea. This race isn't like the front of my mind, but it kind of is still, like you said, important. And I think Thanedar, on a lot of things, he's going to be to the left of Thanedar, but that's another one we'll have to watch and actually probably do more analysis on, because I'm not comfortable giving you like the fault lines, whether it's Israel, Medicare for all, like there's a bunch of different,
They're
like
probably
little,
both anti-Israel, right?
I don't know. There is a good contingent of like the real establishment Democrats, and that's actually where the fault lines are kind of fallen here. A lot of them are supportive of Israel, and we have a large Jewish community, and a lot of our
you have a very people don't realize about Michigan. I don't know how large it is. It's a significant vote, though.
it's significant.
It has a big Michigan. The Jewish vote has significance in Michigan. I don't think a lot
certainly.
of people realize that about Midwestern states, but a lot of them have very well organized Jewish communities.
Oh,
And
we do. We
Michigan
certainly do.
Michigan is probably the best.
Well, you remember back when we had that recent attack in the Jewish community
Yeah,
center.
I remember
that
when I
thing was
ran too. Yeah.
a sprawling campus, right? And so we have that. And actually, that was really exposed at their recent convention, where there was like shouting matches, and a lot of Democrats overall, the more progressive anti-Israel people, there's a big shouting match, and a lot of the pro-Israel Democrats kind of were like left wondering, do I have a place in my party anymore?
They don't.
Yeah, and they said, and
I wish they would come to me. I'd give them an honest answer. You don't have a place in the Democratic Party because they either all virulently hate you or go along with it.
Yep.
And there are
so
so
that's
few
why
exceptions. It doesn't matter, and they're not in key positions.
Are really
Couple
down ballot Democrats, sorry to interrupt, are really down ballot Democrats are saying vote on the candidate, not on the party. And can you imagine a Democrat saying that even like 2 years ago?
You see, in the House, you don't. In the House, the most important vote you're casting is for the party. People don't realize it. It's for leadership.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
The minute you decide leadership, you've decided 90% of the issues.
So we're deciding that
you could have a nice moderate Democrat, and you're electing AOC as the speaker.
Yep. But then we have to think, how do the voters vote at the end of the day? I don't know if they're that strategic.
No, I don't think most vote that way.
It's more
You have to have conducted a campaign in which you make someone a singular figure, like they did with Pelosi in 10. The Republicans did a great job of making Pelosi the issue in 10. And a lot of Republicans won and Democrats lost based on that. But nobody's done it this time.
Well, and talking about linking, so a lot of talk about Mondami, the mayor of, the greatest city in the world, and how, do we have the Michigan Mondami with Abdul El Sayed? And it is becoming a little bit of that, and they're tying it into the broader movement.
Given all the questions I get about Mondami, I think he may be taking on a little some of that.
Yeah.
A little some of that symbolic feeling where in the right place, a Republican can say, this is the next Mondami. You can sure say it about Sayed.
Oh, yeah. Exactly. And you know what? The contingent, especially the online contingent that's behind Mandami, is largely put a lot of their effort into the El Sayed campaign because, like I said, this is the biggest race in the country happening, you know, today, but throughout the primary season, probably. So
the DSA is also supporting Rashiba Tlaib, the enchanting Rashiba Tlaib.
see, the thing there is, I don't think that I think she's safe. I don't think she doesn't really have too much to worry about.
And they are supporting
the
DSA is supporting. The DSA is supporting, by the way, McKinney to defeat Thanadar.
And that's what my instincts told me. Like they're coming from the left, but you know what? Here's the thing about Thanadar. He asked the political consultants which party he should be before running. So he doesn't really have like a value set, and he's not even that strong of a candidate to like kind of stand on his own. So I can see where a challenge comes from. And he's such a bad candidate. But
so we'll get back to you a little bit. We'll get back to you a little bit later. Maybe you can get a little sense of the turnout.
Oh yeah,
we can make a few predictions then too.
I'm at an undisclosed location, but we will have a lot of political consultants coming in and out of here throughout the day. So I will keep you posted. And I'm going to keep myself.
You're an undisclosed location?
Yes, sir. Secret. I'll disclose soon.
It sounds like I'm back being a U.S. attorney. Undisclosed location. Is Fat Tony Salerno around?
You know, interestingly enough, someone named Fat Tony might be around, but we'll leave that to be determined.
Say hello to Raleigh.
Will do. Good to see you.
So if we want to get to real fraud, because, you know, in Michigan, they have pretend fraud. Take a look at the revelations today. Just a little tidbit, but it's billions with the New York daycare fraud. I want you to see this. I couldn't come up with a good map of this because it's so screwed up. But there's just a little slice in New York. It's a 1 mile radius. It's in Queens, and they get federal daycare money. So you say, how much federal daycare money could they get for a little sliver of Queens, right? Just a little teeny sliver of Queens.
Only 500 billion.
About like that. That's why you can't see that map, but that's the little map. These little dots on the map show you the places. It's impossible. I look at this. I mean, I can visualize this part of Queens. The Long Island Railroad goes through there. The expressway goes through there.
Where's the Queens Boulevard area?
No, it's a little north of Queens Boulevard.
Okay.
Not far from LaGuardia Airport. Let me get you the exact radius. It's a 1 mile radius. They just get that in this 1 mile radius. The first thing that would jump out at you as the former U.S. attorney is there are 77 government-sponsored social daycare centers. 77. Then if you wanted to ask somebody, go check on this, they come back and say, gee, boss, this accounts for 14% of all the daycare spending. In the state of New York, with 18 million people, 1 square mile, 14% of the daycare center. And it's not the most densely, this is not a place with large high rises or housing developments. A few housing developments, but small compared to Manhattan and the Bronx.
Is it Somalian?
Please, let me.
I'm sorry. Go ahead. Yeah.
At Livingwell Daycare Center on Northern Boulevard, when they went to visit it, Livingwell billed $27 million from 2018 to 2024, and claims to have 26,500 patients. Yeah, have any idea what a daycare center or a hospital with 26,500 patients looks like? Yeah, it's bigger than the population of about half the towns in America. They went to take a look at it. Every time they went there, they couldn't see a single senior person, nor did they ever see any lights on. But there are 27,500 people there pulling down federal money. Kangua on Main Street billed $22 million for 28,500. They're about half a mile away. 25,800 unique patients. Greater New York Social and Health on Maple Avenue, which is a quarter of a mile away. 28 million for 32,500 patients. I just went beyond the population of the area. How about the one on Roosevelt Avenue where you see all the prostitutes? Roosevelt Avenue, which Ted should remember when we stopped and took pictures of the prostitutes, right? Yeah. They took in 32 million for 57,500. They must have collected their daycare on their way to Citi Field, because that's about the capacity of Citi Field, and it's walking distance. So I imagine they probably signed them up on the way to Citi Field, and they got daycare and a ticket to the Met game, which means they were losers in both cases, because the Mets surely lost. It was this year with the third highest payroll in baseball. Just had to get that in. I'll just go on and on here. I mean, I can give you one after another after another. At some point, I'm going to try to make this a better map so you can see how absurd it is. But they did a very bad job with this map. You almost can't read the places. And I suspect this is on purpose, not by the Post, but by the government agency that probably fainted. This came out of a long-term process. It came out of the stuff that Elon Musk was doing. Who knows how many records they've burned already in New York. A welfare worker named Wendy told the Post that she has 100 to 200 patients a day. Now, you would think poor Wendy is working her ass off, right? Well, Wendy does get a break. She has never met any of them, which means she can't hurt them. That's the good part. Yeah. Wendy can't hurt her patients because she's never met them. Although the daycare agency, the Bao Kong Adult Care Center on Blossom Avenue, has so far billed $32 million and is serving beyond the 100 to 200 she's never met, 43,900 unique patients. And when the Post went on a tour of the place, they couldn't find a single person. This makes, I know this wasn't revealed as dramatically by the Post, but this makes the Minnesota thing look small. It's in 1 square mile. I didn't bother to count up. We're looking at about 200,000 people that are on daycare. I'm not sure it has a population of 200,000. When Flushing, Queens alone accounts for roughly 14% of all social adult daycare spending in New York State, it's pretty obvious that these centers aren't popping up solely to fulfill a legitimate need in the community.
Not by coincidence.
What would you say if I told you that it is conceivable that in certain areas, half the money spent by the state of New York that they get from the federal government is stolen by the Democrats? You'd say you're being a prejudiced Republican. No, I'm not. First of all, Republicans couldn't get their hands on the money. The Democrats would chop their hands off. They might give them a little crumbs. And there are some Republicans that go for crumbs. I remember I put them in jail. But here in New York, for 150 to 170 years, we have been most of the time systemically corrupt in a way that you cannot imagine. When I heard Minnesota 9 billion, I said, chicken feed. 1 mile in Queens is probably making more. This is what Trump is dealing with. And he knows it the way I know it, which is why he has to approach government the way he does. Otherwise, they're going to take you down. This is why we need him reelected. Not reelected. We need him empowered with a Congress that's going to let him do what he's got to do. Even with a re-election, even with a Congress re-elected. This is hard to do in 4 years. It took 170 for it to develop. You know how difficult it is to investigate 1 million cases? We could replicate this, what I'm doing here. I could replicate this in every borough, with just about every Great Society program. And I know, because I was there at the beginning when they started them, and they started them off, and they were just as bad at the beginning as they are now. And they are the reason for very often it's easier to see these at 100 and, well, let's say at 180 degrees, because you realize that it has to be crooked. So if New York City, with a population of 8 million, has a larger budget than Florida with a population of 22 million, and we provide essentially the same services, how much of that difference, which is a per capita more than double, right? How much of that difference is stolen? How much of that difference in money is stolen? So attribute a third to real. Attribute a third to inefficiency. 1/3 is just straight out and out. I have 200 to 300 patients, but I never see them.
I remember you said this right after the Somalian thing. You said this is probably going on all over the country.
Yeah. And the more you're in a place that is traditionally corrupt, the more the systems are built in. So the Somalians didn't discover this. Look, this is exactly what the Somalians were doing.
Right.
The Somalians were getting money for daycare centers that had no students. They're getting money for Medicare patients that don't exist.
Yep.
The Somalians didn't discover it. They got it from the crooked Americans.
It's an existing
and
model.
Then they're crooked as hell. Somalia is crooked as hell. They're probably even more crooked than we are as a nation. And man, they made the most of it.
They loved it.
That was their first generation success. The Jewish people, first generation success was going to college with all their kids. The Somalis were stealing the hell out of you. Sorry, that's not racist. That's a historic fact.
Right.
Deal with it. Don't get all, it's racist. Deal with it and fix it. Like, deal with the fact that black kids are killed by black kids. You keep trying to blame it on white kids, you're going to have more black kids killed because you're looking for the wrong people who are killing them. It means you don't give a damn about black kids. It means you give a damn about politics and stealing money. The reason the black community is in the shape that it's in, it's because it's been represented by crooked black politicians for a long time who don't do shit but steal money. We'll take a short break. Tunnels to Towers Foundation honors America's greatest heroes. Heroes like the dedicated public servant Josh Bischoff. Josh began his firefighting career as a volunteer and quickly rose through the ranks to become CAL FIRE's assistant chief of tactical air operations. Josh was driven by a deep sense of purpose and a passion for serving others. His leadership earned him great respect across the entire state of California and beyond that, until tragedy struck. And 2 helicopters collided while fighting a California wildfire. Josh was killed in the crash. He left behind his wonderful wife, Cheryl, and their 2 children, Derek and Juliana. The Tunnel to Towers Foundation paid the Bischoff family's mortgage immediately, lifting a financial burden and enabling Josh's family to focus on healing after unimaginable loss. Josh's family is committed to honoring his memory by living with the same drive, the same joy, the same patriotism, and the same purpose that he did. Honor and help heroes like Josh and their families who've sacrificed everything. Donate $11 a month.
Are you ready for some action?
I'm ready for action.
Get the Elite TV plan only through the portal. 218 channels, and it's only $69.95 a month,
Wow.
including your free portal.
That's cheaper than everyone else.
Your favorite sports, movies, news,
Wow.
even daytime dramas. We're talking about ESPN, OAN, Newsmax,
Wow.
channels you can't get anymore in certain areas.
Compared to the competition, this is a way better deal.
Endless selection. Not to mention all the free music channels. There's over 700 premium and classic movies all ready to go.
Wow.
Plus, they got catch-up TV that allows you to go back and watch what you've missed or want to watch again. Cut your cable in half and get twice as much for free.
Way more channels for half the cost.
After the first year, the subscription then drops to $57.95 monthly,
Wow.
where you change or upgrade anytime. Go to QUXNow.com and get yours today. Use promo code RUDY. Act fast. These deals are selling out.
Here we are, pretty much at the beginning of the process here at this pristine, I call it a laboratory. It's not like a factory, it's like a hospital. This is the beginning of the process for roasting. Deep grain, very good quality. Most people don't use this quality. We deal with small farmers because they like to know who we're dealing with. They give us the highest quality, all organic, non-GMO. You should know all Arabica beans, no Robusto, all Arabica. They're going to go into the roaster and it'll get roasted for about 20 minutes or so. Oh my goodness, look at these. My goodness. You're going to want to specially order these. This is what goes into Rudy's coffee. Welcome back to America's Mayor.
Live.
Live.
We are live.
So DSA had a rally. I don't know why we don't go and cover these rallies, Ted. They had 500 card-carrying DSA members gather this weekend in Chicago. They probably are exempt from the weekend murder spree. So they go to Chicago without any fear. But most people are part of it. And they came out with, these people never are anybody unanimous, but they came out, which was regarded as the almost unanimous view, DSA for AOC, that they wanted to run for president.
Yeah, I could see it. I mean,
Now, every poll, with one exception, there was one outlier that had her ahead, but every poll has her at 1 or 2%. And I think the bartender is at least street smart. And I think she can run against Schumer because she's young. There is a risk with all these other people getting into it that they get ahead of her. She doesn't have to worry about Mondami because he's not a citizen, unless we change that. Who knows, right? They're going to change everything. You know, the choice, a incompetent, poorly educated, moderately intelligent, moderately dumb person like AOC has to make, nor does she have the brain power to make it, is you can make the wrong decision. This could be her time to run, largely because she is prone to saying stupid things. And how many more stupid things can she say? although she could look at Biden and she could say, you could have a career of saying stupid things and be discounted over and over again. Like when they said he'd never run for president because he was such a liar, and you could be president. So I don't know. There are no rules anymore. I told you that, Ted. No more rules here. But it is going to be a tough choice. There are a lot of people who see her as the best candidate. I don't know if that's true, that she is the best candidate. I know the other is true, that people do see her that way. So I thought I'd report that because this is a group that I don't think she was there. Maybe she was. I don't think she orchestrated it. This is like their grassroots feeling. With all the new ones coming along, she's still the number one darling. New York City under Mondami. It's impossible to describe. Now, it is true that overall crime went down remarkably, and murder went down even more remarkably. However, I find this really extraordinarily unusual. So I reduced crime in New York City every year that I was mayor. I reduced crime I reduced crime everywhere, but some places just modestly, some places remarkably, like in Medellin, 49% in a year. I rarely remember inconsistent results. I remember great ones, I remember moderate ones, and I remember we just got it down. But usually across the board, maybe with one outlier. Often the outlier, as he was starting to reduce crime, was rape. And there was something you had to figure out about rape. By bringing the rest of crime down, are you somehow increasing rape? Hardly. What you're doing is you're making the police department or the police authorities more credible. So when a community sees the police out on the street for the first time in 5 years, arresting the bad guys, and the bad guys not coming back 5 hours later because the judges are all crooked, all of a sudden the women who are afraid to report sexual abuse and rape and child beatings, all of a sudden a certain number of them get the courage to do what they always wanted to do. And the number of rapes goes up because it isn't the number of rapes that goes up, it's the number of reported rapes. So when you read crime statistics, you have to know, are you reading failure or are you reading the result of success? Crime going up is rarely the result of success. But it isn't really crimes that go up. It's reported crimes that go up. So if you're doing this in the middle of a campaign that's like a war, you really have to be a genius at being able to figure out the difference at the beginning. And I was surrounded by 3 or 4 who were. I mean, I just knew how to do it. I could look at a crime report from a precinct in New York, and I could tell you if the commander was cheating or not. Really, because maybe I couldn't do that everywhere because I lived in New York for 150 years. And I lived in every part of New York. I lived in 4 of the 5 boroughs. The only one I didn't live in was the one that had no crime, Staten Island. I lived in the suburbs. I was in law enforcement for half of it. So you as people discount police officers, prosecutors who do investigating, you develop a sense for this. So when you get these academics doing crime statistics, it's just numbers. You can get a really, really smart cop who knows the street like a dog with a nose. And he can look at those statistics and he can tell you what's going on. I'm telling you all that because here is a very dangerous statistic in New York, really dangerous. And then I'm going to give you one that you're going to know the answer to. Crime on the subways is going up last month by 11%, while crime in the rest of the city is largely going down. Some of it modestly, some of it to record levels. There's something wrong with that.
It's
The
engineered.
people who commit crime on the subways are by and large the same people. You very rarely get somebody with 45 subway crimes. Maybe a plurality of subway crimes, 30 on the subway and 40 on the street. But the guy's after money. He's a drug addict, maybe. He's after money. The subway is a great place for him to do it, but he may also be a pickpocket and a mugger. If he beats you up on the subway for money, he's going to beat you up in an alleyway for money. It's the reason why I merged the regular police and the transit police. They're chasing the same guys about 90% of the time. So this statistic I would have to study really, really carefully. And I know the police department, despite the presence of an anti-American police hater, communist, Muslim extremist sympathizer, they've got a good commissioner and they've got good people. I'm sure they're looking at this. There's an 11% increase in crime on the subways, violent crime. There was a point at which they were going after the police because there was a decline in crime and there was an increase in rapes. I took a good look at that, and that was more probably. I can't be sure because I don't have the inner. They don't trust me enough to give me the inner statistics. If they did, they'd get a bigger reduction in crime. But in any event, I was pretty certain that was the phenomenon I told you. Rape was going down, but people were reporting it because the cops were doing a better job. Attacks on the elderly increased by 46%. Now here's the one here's the one that you know is true. Hate crimes went up. I don't know if it's record. Got to be close. Hate crimes went up dramatically. 10%. More than half of it involved Jews. This is hate crimes increased by hate crimes increased this month by 8.5 overall by against Jews by 8.5. Overall, however, when you look at all the hate crimes in New York City, which went up by 9.4%, the Jews made up 57% of the hate crimes that went up. Just the other day, Raul Morales, 51, was screaming Allah Akbar as he was shoving knives in Jewish people. We have this going on all the time. Doesn't always end up in the newspapers. This is becoming a pervasive crime. This is a disgrace. This is a disgrace. I don't know what the number of hate crimes were in Germany in the 10 years before the Holocaust. Seems like we're talking about
a precursor.
More than half of the hate crimes were anti-Semitic, although Jews only make up less than 10% of the city. Per capita, what is that? That's 10 times anyone else.
62-year-old man gets a skull fracture in New York City, pushed into a pillar a couple days ago.
I'll do for you the per capitas, because New York City is a city you can't analyze based on raw numbers because the raw numbers are so high. It's a question of what percentage. So if I were to tell you there were 400 murders in New York City, you'd say, well, that's more than in Boston, right? No, it's not. Boston has less than 1 million people. New York has 8.4 million. Boston has a lot more per capita than New York has, which means your chance of getting murdered, because in New York, you're a part of a much larger crowd. Your chance of getting murdered in Boston is greater than your chance of getting murdered in New York. Understand? So when I pull these numbers out, And I tell you that 50% of the 57% of the hate crime victims are Jews. You still don't get an impression of how heavy that is, because there are fewer Jews in New York City now. So compare hate crimes against Jews to hate crimes against Muslims, against Asians, against blacks, against Hispanics, against Italians, and then get an idea. And we'll do that. They didn't bother to do it because they don't really want you to understand it, because they're the cause of it. I don't mean the police, the people the police work for. The cause of this is Zohran Mamdani. This would not be going on at this level if that Jew hater were not sitting in City Hall. It isn't even beyond, it isn't even doubtful. Don't even bother debating it with me. Just another example. He has a judicial selection committee. He put on it people who represented terrorists, people who cohort and go around with terrorists, people who have said the worst things about September 11, people who are disgraceful American haters. He refused to put a single Jewish person on. How many Jewish lawyers there are in New York? You got to work hard not to put a Jewish lawyer on a committee. And particularly when he had as a candidate a judge who was my lawyer, and I know is one of the best judges in New York, and is Jewish. I know what a miserable hater Mamdani is.
Well, felony assaults, robberies helping to fuel the 11% rise in transit crimes in New York City.
The guy is offered the job of chief counsel for helping to pick judges who are crooked as hell anyway in New York, is Ramzi Qasim, who defended al-Qaeda terrorists. Judge Leventhal wasn't selected because he was part of a team that was involved in the Giselle Maxwell appeal. And that made him an unqualified lawyer because he represented a bad person. Is Giselle Maxwell worse than al-Qaeda, multiple murderers? Is it worse to represent Giselle Maxwell than it is to represent the person who bombed the World Trade Center in 1993 and killed New Yorkers? Or do we go by the fact that unless we see some criminal connection, we don't allow you to persecute lawyers because of the client, except Rudy Giuliani or Eastman? Or I understand among Democrats there's the Trump exception. If you represent Trump, you're liable for persecution. And then if Trump wants to do a compensation because you lost your practice and millions of dollars and your businesses and your friends, then Trump can't do it if he wants to have a head of intelligence or attorney general. See, I understand that. There's a Trump exception like there was for the Japanese in World War II, because there's a certain portion of America that they not only hate Americans, they're not Americans. And that would be all the Biden people and all the Democrats who created lawfare, which they now want to blame on Trump, when in the case of Trump, it's just justice. Trump can't be dissuaded from doing this, calling it lawfare, when it's bringing to justice the people who were doing it so that they don't do it again. It's a game that they play in order to get themselves immunity, because in the past they've been able to intimidate us Republicans. But you know they're not intimidating Trump. You know they're not intimidating me. They tried everything they could. They literally took everything away from me, and they couldn't intimidate me. My same reaction to them when I was worth millions of dollars is the reaction that I had when I was bankrupt. Stick it up your un-American communist Islamic extremist backside, because you're not going to take control of my country. The only way you're going to get me out of the fight to stop you is by killing me. Looks like they tried that with Trump, huh? But that didn't work either. So what's going on with the WNBA, Ted? Why Why do these women who run it, why do they want men to play? And they give not only
Good question.
but look what they're doing with Sophie Cunningham.
Right.
I think Sophie Cunningham is much more impressive than the other one.
Right. I agree.
Caitlin's a little wussy. Caitlin is afraid to stand up for herself. Somebody's got to get her and have her grow up. I don't care if it's easy for her on the basketball court. What does the basketball court count when we're dealing with the rights of young ladies all over the country and she can affect them one way or the other?
Right. Sure. I agree.
I mean, she sees herself as, I mean, that's a horribly narcissistic position when she stands in the place of other women who are going to suffer because she won't stand up for herself. I think someone like Sophie Cunningham, who may not be as good a basketball player, I don't know, but she sure as heck is a much stronger person.
Right.
But they're trying to ruin her. And what does she say in a very nice way? Males identifying as women don't belong in girls' sports or locker rooms.
That's right.
Now, I first heard that about 15 years ago, and I thought it was a joke.
Yeah. It's a no-brainer. I mean, why is this even an argument?
There is no possible way that I would even consider having a debate with someone who wanted to argue the other, because I don't think the other position is worth description. It's like the Supreme Court justice trying to tell me that you really can't define women. The answer to that in a real America, where all of our children were going to grow and benefit, black and white, gay and otherwise, would be if she were told to get up, get the hell out, and find a job other than a judge, because you're either too damn stupid to be here or you're a liar. Do it quickly when Kendall Jackson did that. When she said she couldn't define a woman, she said, well, you can't be a judge.
Right. It's an interesting one. We'll be watching that closely because we'll see. I mean, so is the WNBA saying they will allow transgenders to start playing? Is that really where they want to go with this? Imagine one team full of transgender athletes. They would dominate the WNBA.
Lynx coach Cheryl Reeve wore a trans kids belong shirt as a response to Cunningham. Golden State coach Natili Nakasi offered similar useless language. I'm all about women, little girls deserving to play. And that includes trans women, so they can beat the shit out of little. So they can play. They're biological men. They have all the chemical composition of men, and you're going to get one of these young girls killed, you monsters.
Trans kids belong on the shirt. This in the aftermath of
Coach with the shirt. Trans kids belong.
Oh, she's the coach who likes men in women's locker rooms.
Yeah.
Anybody ever who's the girl?
That's Sophie Cunningham talking to her before the game.
Oh.
So they're talking it out.
Is she a good player?
Yeah, she's a good player.
And Caitlin is the best, right?
Yes, she really picked up the ratings for the WNBA. So
Caitlin did.
Yes. Well, Mayor, do we want to go back to Steven real quick?
Yeah, let's go back to Steven and get a last minute. Nothing's changed. Nothing's changed either on the West Coast with the president or in Iran or in Israel that I know of. So let's go to Steven and see what's the last view before
the poll's closed here.
Before the close of the ballots and Michigan begins its famous counting process. Let's hope it's not close. Let's hope
Aren't we all giddy? Aren't we all giddy? Oh, it can be close if they want it to be close. We've learned that before.
Yeah, I know, but what confidence do you have it's going to be honest if it's close?
See, that's the thing. But here,
and who has the in here? Who's got the in?
That's literally one of the most important things in Michigan politics, or it can be, so that's what we've been trying
maybe
to
the party has the in, not the radicals.
But see, yes, and that is one thing too. And then also Benson, we don't know. She's got a whole bunch of different interests that she's advocating for that are not the voter. So
I wouldn't bet against Benson on vote counting.
Well, I know she's going to qualify for the ballot. That's for
beat
sure.
us.
Right. But so basically what I can tell you as an update after talking to more people who have been around, we don't have any formal exit polling, but basically what I expected earlier is kind of coming true. And then those progressive Democrat primaries where it's the progressive versus the more establishment, those are the ones to watch. And unfortunately, I don't have any real updates for you. I wish I had more, but otherwise it's just going to be a very, very important day in Michigan. And so we'll keep everyone posted and I'll keep everyone updated as we go through, but yeah, expect Abdul El-Sayed, and a big middle finger to the Democrat establishment. And with them at the end of the day, wrestling as to what their party is or, what they stand for. They'll have to wrestle with that.
Have 3 or 4 other DSA designated candidates. We'll have to see how they all do.
Yeah, exactly. This will be analysis that we use, throughout the next few cycles and beyond even.
Let's see.
Yep.
I mean, we're all counting on the fact that we can more easily defeat them in a general election. I wouldn't count on it. I think we can. I think we can. There's a difference between thinking we can and counting on it.
But see, here's the thing. In Michigan, that sentiment would be actually a little more true than in a place like, say, New York, California,
Yes.
Oregon, Washington. Yeah. And that's why people were, you do hear it among Democrats. Don't get me wrong. It's not an El-Sayed, not every single person is for El-Sayed. However, he does have the majority of the energy. But the people who aren't for El-Sayed, I mean, there's still a contingent of them as well. So,
well, see, part of my reservation is, I think the rules of politics are in the process of changing, and when they're in the process of changing, we don't know how they're going to change completely.
And
you said to me, in the case of Michigan, it usually would be, but we're no longer usually. That's
exactly.
And it isn't
and
just
our
Michigan.
media markets evolved as well. Like our media and how
changed. Michigan is changing. It's behind New York, but is it catching up?
And there is like a very New York-y contingent in southeastern Michigan where that's kind of the, I guess I would put them politically a little bit more towards the New York side. But we will see. And also the media environment has evolved so significantly too. It's harder for the establishment voices to sort of control it. And with like all these outside voices, you've heard the Hassan guy coming in for El-Sayed, and that generates a whole lot of energy nationally and otherwise, and money coming in the progressive movement that they see themselves as. One thing I will say though, so I went to Hamtramck, which is that a famously, Arab Middle Eastern community. And I expected a lot more for El-Sayed, but then actually upon reflecting on it, you kind of determine these people are not radical Democrats. No, they're like the most traditional conservative people, often business owners. And so I expected a lot more El-Sayed. And don't get me wrong, there are a lot of like Middle Eastern people who are excited to have a Middle Eastern person on the ballot.
The name can also pull it in, not the policies, right?
Yes. Oh, yeah. And they're in a number of the literature that I saw at like the different grocery stores. I actually took the time to go to some of these grocery stores, these Middle Eastern grocery stores. And there are often pieces of literature with like 3 Middle Eastern names going down the ballot. They have like their local candidates for like judge or state rep. And there'll be like multiple pieces of literature in these places with the 3 Middle Eastern people. Support them, rah, 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 as you buy your, Dubai chocolates or whatever it is you're after. So there's that.
That's not. I mean, that's normal. That's been going on since we've had ethnic politics in America. That ethnic groups, 70% vote with the ethnic group. Certain number of people can still be objective, but not most.
Doesn't hurt if you're a Giuliani getting the Italian votes, right?
Absolutely right. Or the Catholic vote, or the Jewish vote, or whatever.
But here, the Jewish vote is not a monolith here in Michigan either, though. That's what we're,
Well, isn't that interesting? The Jewish vote has never been a monolith, except it can be a Democrat monolith. They'll switch Democrats, but it can be a Democrat monolith, which I changed.
We have an opportunity here, though, because a lot of them don't feel like they have a home in the Democrat Party.
Well, I don't know if it still can change, but I got elected with the Jewish vote. I got over 70% the last time I ran.
So I guess it is wise to just not talk about it like it's one thing. Right?
I don't know if that could I don't know. Maybe it could be more. Theoretically, it should be more now. but who knows?
And I think we'll actually see that, but to the extent, who knows, right? And
Yeah,
that's
we're
why it's
gonna see. It could
exciting.
be-
Thanks for joining us here.
Tomorrow, tomorrow's going to be interesting when we see the results, Ted, or 5 weeks from now,
Yeah.
whichever it is.
Yeah, not quite California, but yeah, we'll go into the night on some of these big ones.
Yeah. Well, good luck, Stephen. Keep
Thank
in
you.
touch.
Thank you,
Keep
sir.
in touch. In case there's anything really big,
Yeah.
we'll come back on. You know, we're always ready to do that.
We'll be watching here. Polls close soon. We'll see
So
if we
good
get some
luck.
local coverage.
Good luck in Michigan. I don't know who I'm wishing good luck to. Like it's it's the
kinda
frying
weird.
pan or the fire with the DSA guy against a congressman who he tells us is so terrible. Wow.
Right.
So let's see what happens. I'll tell you the one thing it'll give us food for analysis and thought that will move us ahead on kind of narrowing the imponderables. We'll start to get a little more information from which to make decisions about what's going to happen this year. So let's see.
Yeah,
Thank you very, very much, Stephen. You did a great job. Stephen did a very good job.
He did a good job. He's all set up.
Thank Rob. I see he's gone out to feed the cats.
Yeah.
And Stephen is going to continue to communicate with us.
Tonight, we'll
Ted
be watching.
is right there, making sure everything's going right, and it did. Thank you, Ted. And we had a good show.
We did.
And we thank you again. And we ask God to pray.
We're going to expand. You're going to see more of us.
Yep, we should. We're going to ask God especially to pray for America now. We've got to add America. We've been praying for a long time for Israel. We continue to. We've been praying for a long time for Iran. We're not leaving. We've been praying for a long time to the poor people of Ukraine who've been slaughtered. And we're going to pray for the people of Russia. I don't think they want this war. I don't. It's hard to judge that in a country where people are dominated. And of course, we're going to pray for us, the people of America, because we're under siege too by communism, as the Mother of God predicted to us over 100 years ago. And we're under siege by Islamic extremists, which many people predicted to us 1,600 years ago. So pray for us, dear God. Hopefully we're doing what you want, and we're doing it in the way you want. And we're exercising judgment and discretion and decency in the way we're doing it. And guide our president. He's trying very hard to save human lives. And it's a balance between saving ours and saving theirs and others. Thank you, God, for what you've given us. And of course, 250 years. God bless America. It's our purpose to bring to bear the principle of common sense and rational discussion to the issues of our day. America was created at a time of great turmoil, tremendous disagreements, anger, hatred. There was a book written in 1776 that guided much of the discipline of thinking that brought to us the discovery of our freedoms, of our God-given freedoms. It was Thomas Paine's Common Sense, written in 1776, one of the first American bestsellers, in which Thomas Paine explained, by rational principles, the reason why these small colonies felt the necessity to separate from the Kingdom of Great Britain and the King of England. He explained their inherent desire for liberty, for freedom, freedom of religion, freedom of speech, the ability to select the people who govern them. And he explained it in ways that were understandable to all the people, not just the elite. Because the desire for freedom is universal. The desire for freedom adheres in the human mind, and it is part of the human soul. This is exactly the time we should consult our history. Look at what we've done in the past and see if we can't use it to help us now. We understand that our founders created the greatest country in the history of the world, the greatest democracy, the freest country, a country that has taken more people out of poverty than any country ever. All of us are so fortunate to be Americans. But a great deal of the reason for America's constant ability to self-improve is because we're able to reason, we're able to talk.